Hi there, it's Melissa Raymond from Your Journey to Healing, and today we're going to be talking about hardwiring your internet. So, let's find out why, how, and the ins and outs of exactly how to do this. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about hardwiring your internet. Now, why might we want to be moving away from Wi-Fi and going back to Ethernet cables and hardwiring things down? Well, I totally acknowledge that Wi-Fi is so convenient. On the go, without the cords, you can move around your house. You can be the modem at one end and you in the other room, down the other end of your house, and still have internet. It's fantastic from a convenience perspective. However, there have been lots of research out there showing that the electromagnetic radiation is actually not so good for our health. So it can affect cell development, and for our kids, particularly with their smaller skulls, it just goes through much easier into their brains. We don't want our kids to be, or even ourselves, to be a big experiment for being around this radiation all the time. Now, there's not a lot that we can do with the radiation outside of our homes. However, within the home environment where they sleep for many hours of the day, and they may be in the house for long periods of time during the day as well, this can accumulate. So I have decided that we are going to hardwire as much as we can from our device's perspective, anything that's needing Wi-Fi. Or internet, sorry. So we've got a few different devices in our home. We have some non-Apple iPads. We've got some Surface Pros. We also have two iPads, an iPhone and a Samsung phone as well. Now we'll go through what things can be and can't be hardwired and what things they need in a minute now, and I will show you how to do it and what gadgets you need to do this after that. So I've got my old Samsung here. It's a Note 4 or 5. It's about 4 years old now, perhaps. It is one thing that I have tried and I'm not able to hardwire it. Now, hardwiring a mobile phone doesn't make sense because it's a mobile phone, but I spend some time at home during the day on my business, and what I would like to be able to do with my mobile phone is use it and not have it on off or airplane mode because I'm worried about the radiation. It needs to be functional and practical, right? So what I wanted to do was just leave it in another area of the house that I could hear if it rings, but also then hardwire it, connect it with a cable to the modem so that that's no longer a consideration, because even the Samsung emits a high dose of radiation every few seconds, even when it's on airplane mode. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's searching for a signal, even though it's on airplane mode, but that's what happens. And so I've wanted to avoid that as well. Plus, the phone on airplane mode is not very functional or practical in my view. So I'm not able to hardwire that. I've had searched on the internet. It doesn't seem to be able to be done. Perhaps with the later models, I think Samsung 8 and 9 are able to be hardwired. So that might be a consideration in the future, eventually when this phone dies and I need to get another one. For the Surface Pro, that is a non-Apple device and it's so much easier to hardwire. What I've needed for this to hardwire, if I'm hardwiring directly from the modem, is to turn the Wi-Fi off at the modem. To turn the Wi-Fi off at the modem, you need to may not be a button or anything on the modem. You need to go into the modem internet address and type in your IP address in the search bar, and you're able to log in with the login and password details on the back of your modem and turn the Wi-Fi off there. Now, it's important to note that for some modems, the Wi-Fi can be turned off online in that manner, but there might be a third sneaky, I'm going to call it a channel because I'm a layperson, that is not able to be turned off. So you may need to investigate whether or not your particular modem is able to have all of the Wi-Fi ability turned off. It still means that it's able to be used as a modem, but just hardwired. So what you would need is an Ethernet cable. This is a category 7. I bought category 7 because 6s are a bit slower and 8s are not necessary because we don't need that high fast speed, and the modem potentially can't even transmit at that high speed anyway, as a guess. Again, layperson here. So it's got shielded little bits at the end. I've needed to connect this from the modem into this device here, and this is a USB to Ethernet adapter. Now, the reason why I've bought one with extra USB ports on the side is so that when this goes into my one USB port on my laptop, I have other ones that I can plug in if I need to plug in my data stick or anything like that. So then this USB cable, one end goes into the modem and the other end goes into here. And then all I do is plug this end into my computer. Now, to reduce the radiation there, you put your computer on airplane mode and turn the Wi-Fi off. And that should work straight away. Next. The iPad. A little bit of playing around with this, and I haven't found anywhere, it didn't work for us initially, and I was very frustrated. I couldn't find a reason why. I couldn't find, we've got the AirPad 1st generation and a 6th generation, the iPad Air 1st generation, and so I did all the things that people had shown me and other building biologists had shown me on the internet of how to do it, and it didn't work. It said it didn't have enough power. Now, the bits and pieces that I've purchased for this are Apple products, because a lot of people have trialed and errored non-Apple products and it hasn't worked, and I've not wanted to waste money trialing other things. I've wanted to just go with something that I know would work, or I could at least take it back to the shop. I've bought a Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. So that has a USB port here and a Lightning port here to charge. And then the next piece of equipment you need is an Apple USB to Ethernet adapter. And what happens is you plug this bit into the Lightning port here into your computer. Obviously, if your Apple has I know they've changed from Lightning now to USB 3, I think now. And then the USB into the port here. Then you also need your adapter, your charging adapter. So Lightning to camera adapter here. And then into the into the Ethernet port. Of course, you're going to put the Ethernet cable, which the other end goes directly from your modem. So this is like a bit more clunky, a lot more clunky than just that USB to Ethernet device that my non-Apple device has. So you need those bits connected. Now, this didn't work for us, and I couldn't figure out why. It was saying that it didn't have enough power. Took me a couple of weeks to kind of dwell on it and research and everything. And what I found in my own research here was around the adapter. That was the only thing that I could think that was different. And so we've got different wall plug adapters. We've got the ones that came with the iPhones and the ones that came with the iPads. Now they actually have different wattage. So this iPad adapter is a 10 watt, and that's the wattage that you need for this to work. If you don't have the 10 watt and you try it with your 5 watt or whatever other watt from the iPhone, it's not going to be enough power, and so it's not going to work. So that is my hot tip. You're going to have to read the tiny fine print. This one's not too bad, but some of the other light grey on lighter grey font size 0.5 on some of the bottom of the other Apple adapters is, for my eyes, unreadable, but they didn't work. So that's an important tip to know. And so then that connects into your computer. Now, what happens for our family when we have 3 of us sitting at a table and have cords everywhere? I have minimized it a little bit, and I've yet to have a look at the radiation in this situation, but I'm really looking forward to borrowing my friend Bronwyn Bennett from Creating Healthy Spaces. She's a building biologist. She's going to kindly loan me her EMF radiation meter so that I can test out what we've got going on here. Now, I have got one long 15-meter long Ethernet cord from the modem that goes directly around the corners of our house, up the side of a window, over the curtain, round a corner, over the other curtain, down the wall, and then that ends up in the dining room. So that's like a direct, non-hidden, you can't see it, but it is there. So that's the way I've done it in our house, so no one's tripping over that particular cord. That cord comes into an unmanaged switch. And this is, I think, the most practical way for us. I don't know about the radiation. Again, I'm going to test it, but it comes into an unmanaged switch. This does need a power adapter, which it comes with, but this gives us a port that we can put incoming in for the 15-meter cord that I've got going through the house into here. And then I have 4 other ports where I can connect up 4 other devices with 4 individual Ethernet cords individually to my device and the kids' devices as well. So that gives us a port where I don't need 4 4-meter long, 15-meter long cables going up through a house. I just need the one, and then I can split it here. So we'll test that out. We also, in this situation, need a power board because the fact that the 2 iPads need the power for this little connection, this little circuit to work. So I'm going to show you now how to do all of that with a different view so you can see me connecting up all the different pieces and what that looks like practically. So let's go take a look. So to hardwire your iPad device, you're going to need these bits and pieces of equipment. Now, one of the key things that I've learned is to buy the Apple branded lightning cables because some of the non-Apple branded ones do not work for the Apple devices. The other thing to note is it's important to turn off the wireless on your device and pop it onto airplane mode, as well as turn the wireless off at your modem. So it may have a physical switch, or you may need to log onto your modem at the address at the back of the modem with your login and password to turn off the Wi-Fi. So how to connect? You'll need your iPad device. You'll need your Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter. It has the Lightning plug at one end, and the other end is the USB 3 and a Lightning port. This is because you'll need power to this little circuit. You'll also need an Ethernet to USB adapter. Again, I would use the Apple brand to save the mucking around. And then you'll also require a power cable and a power adapter. So the Lightning to USB cable and the adapter. Now make sure, and this is the biggest troubleshooting error that I found, was make sure that your adapter is at least 10 watts. If it's not going to have enough power for this little circuit. So please make sure that'll be the adapter that came with your iPad. So don't use the one for the iPhone. Here we've got the power board as well as the Ethernet cable. This is a category 7 Ethernet cable. Now you'll need to connect the Lightning port of the camera adapter into your iPad, and then into that, the Ethernet port with USB into that. Now this little circuit needs power, so you'll need to plug in your Lightning cable into the camera adapter and turn that little circuit on from a power perspective. And then your Ethernet cable goes into the Ethernet port of the Ethernet adapter. The other end of the Ethernet cable goes either directly into your modem or into an unmanaged switch, which I will show you in the next video of exactly how to do that if you have multiple devices. One thing to make sure of is once you've turned your wireless off at your modem that the wireless is actually off. Some of the modems don't have an ability to turn the wireless off, and if that's the case, you may consider, if you're going to the trouble of hardwiring all of your devices, consider purchasing a modem that has the capability of turning the Wi-Fi off. So yes, it is quite messy. You can see there's a lot of cables here, but this is the way that forward if you're going to Ethernet hardwire your devices to reduce Wi-Fi exposure in your house. So what happens if you have multiple devices that you would like to hardwire? Well, this is where an unmanaged switch comes in handy. Now, one end of your Ethernet cord goes into the Ethernet port connected to your computer, and the other end of your Ethernet cable goes into the unmanaged switch. Now, the switch does require power, so you'll need to plug that in. So you'll need to have power handy. And you will also need a second Ethernet cable that goes into the port of the unmanaged switch. There's no input or output, so any port will do. And then you'll need the other end of the Ethernet cable to go directly into the back of your modem. Then for any other devices, you'll need to just repeat the same with another Ethernet cable that will go into the port of the switch and then directly into your device as shown here. This is a 5-port unmanaged switch here. So that means one's an input, and then you'll be able to connect 4 different devices using this switch. You can get other switches that have more ports, but we've gone with this because I don't think at this point we're going to need more than 4 devices connected from a hardwiring perspective. On the other hand, if you have a non-Apple device, the setup is a lot easier. So as you can see, I've got an Ethernet cable here. This again is the same category 7. I've got a USB to Ethernet port device here. You could have this, or depending on this gives extra versatility because it gives you the extra additional USB ports for your device. Alternatively, you could have something like the the Ethernet port to this USB 3, I think it is, which goes into the Surface Pro. I'll just show you that there. So you could use that, and it leaves your USB port on your device accessible. So all you need to do here is plug in USB cable, the Ethernet cable, and the other end goes into your modem, and then this plugs into your device. So it really is that easy. Let's see if I can show you there. You don't need a power supply, and you've got your device where I could attach any other USB devices into there, and this goes directly into your modem, and you're ready to go. This is how I have my device set up. I have an extremely long Ethernet cable from the modem, which is about 15 meters long, to the device at my dining table, and that is how I set that up. So I hope that's helped you in your figuring out of how to hardwire some of the devices if you're looking at doing that changeover. I will list out some of the things that I have found helpful in this, as well as share with you some future results of the testing with the new meter. And I borrow that from lovely Bronwyn from Creating Healthy Spaces. If you need an audit of your home, then I highly recommend Bronwyn. She's really fantastic, lovely and experienced in doing these home audits for anything across the board that can be contributing harmfully to our health. So that is another piece of the puzzle in our journey to healing, our home environment. But we're doing what we can here with all these bits and pieces. I would love to hear how you go with the transition, if this is something that you're looking to do to move from Wi-Fi back to Ethernet cable. I'd love to hear if you found an easier way, particularly with the iPad situation. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And if you liked the video, if you found it helpful, please feel free to share it, like, and subscribe, and you'll be notified of when we have the next video on how to help your health in your journey to healing for a healthier future. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.